right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the show. If you are new here, welcome to Be a Warrior podcast. This is my fourth season, so fourth year, almost halfway through the fourth year of doing this podcast and enjoying sharing my journey as an amputee. Now, this last few weeks has been absolutely crazy. I have decided to try a new challenge. I tend to throw those things out in front of me. And this challenge especially has gotten me, hitting the pavement, meeting people, broadening my circle, stepping out of my comfort zone, all in the name of hopefully winning so I can donate money to two nonprofits that I love very much. The Limbs Center has Limbs for Humanity nonprofit, and our own Cave Creek Carefree area has Arizona Foothills 911, and they are really good at working with first responders, with fire, rescuing animals and people from that, helping them when they get displaced, and also search and rescues because we have a lot of that in our mountains here. We're living in Arizona, and people come from all over thinking city mountains may not be so bad, and yet they are extremely treacherous, and people don't go with enough water, and it gets hotter than they think. And there you have it. We have search and rescues. So I wanted to jump on today, and I've been thinking, I talked to a very wise person the other day, and, trying to find my focus, trying to find my realness to my podcast, because number one, it is my personal journey. So if you're listening, you're curious about what life is throwing at me. You might also be listening because you are an amputee and you're hoping you might get one nugget of positive information that you can use in your own journey. And, maybe you're just a podcast listener and you love podcasts. And I used to teach, so I know I can talk, and maybe you like people that can talk really well and really long. So I'm going to keep these short. I'm trying so hard to make it for your commutes to be the right length of time, but I digress. This week, I wanted to talk about motivation. I started realizing when this person, very wise person, said to me, focus on the things that are problems for you and really stay focused into that grouping of people, because there are people just like me out there with problems just like mine that might want a glimpse of reality and a little dose of what may or may not work for me. And one of the things that I find is, and this is for everybody, but I'm just going to stay as focused as I can on amputees today. Once you become an amputee, yes, life is very different. For some, you might feel more disabled. For others, if things go well and you can find your niche and you have a positive mindset already built into your DNA, you might just realize that this is going to be a challenge, a struggle, but darn it, I'm going to make the best out of it. It's the whole lemonade from lemons, right? And that's kind of always been my mindset. But you have to also understand, I elected to take my leg because of 5 years of surgeries and hyperscarring and blood clots. So I chose to do that. And in my mind's eye, if I chose to do something, then I better do it right, do it well, and do it with everything I've got. And as my husband will tell you, I do nothing halfway. Everything is 110 to 120%. When I start something, I want to finish it. That is how I stay motivated. And that's what I thought I would share with you guys today, is the fact that when you are going through these struggles of getting fitted for your first prosthetic, and then your next one, and when I say prosthetic, I don't mean the actual leg part that like most of them are electronic or mechanical. I'm talking about the hard part that goes onto your body. Those sockets are constantly changing for me, it took 3.5 years for my leg to level out. Number one, we atrophy. Right after amputation, there was atrophying happening before my staples were even out, right? Because you're not using it, and there is nothing below my knee that I have to lift that would engage quads or hamstrings. So crutching around with basically a dead leg hanging there isn't going to do anything for muscle tone. The other thing is that I lost weight, and you will find that you will shrink and lose weight as you start maneuvering your new lifestyle, because we work so much harder. The stats are, if you're missing like your ankle joint, one joint, you're working twice as hard as a two-leg individual. When you lose the ankle and the knee, two joints, you are working 4 times as hard to accomplish the same thing a two-legger does at normal speed, normal intensity, etc. So every time I do something, I'm working 4 times harder. So if I get on the treadmill for 5 minutes, for me, it feels like 25. When I have to go and shop a big grocery store or a Costco or a Walmart, I'm exhausted by the time I get done. Not that I'm done for the day, but I'm exhausted. Like my hip and my hip flexor, they take a beating. So then you go, okay, so how do you stay motivated when you are struggling through those first few years? And then what keeps you going? And like anything else in life, if I start a regimen, let's say at the gym, that's something I know about, I can go hardcore for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then there'll be something with my body. It might be a subtle injury or a pain, or it just might be a mental block. And I will be like, I don't see the purpose right now. I need a break. I need to step back. And that's good. Your body, it will tell you, if you really listen, your body as an amputee will tell you, slow down or stop what you're doing. This is not good. And you have to know the difference between your body and your mind needing a break and your body rejecting what you're doing because it's hard. Things that are hard don't necessarily mean they're bad. But you do have to know the difference. I myself haven't had wound problems. So when I feel a burning happening in my socket, I know I'm probably creating a blister or a rash while I'm doing my workout or a hike. And especially with the heat, we're sweating a lot. That means there's more friction happening and we're moving in there. I know I can keep pushing on. I'll get my shower in the evening. I'll put a little bit of a salve on it that night if I think I need to. Otherwise, just a bath, a shower is all it takes. And then I go to bed. Next day it might still be there, but it won't be so bad. But some of you, that is not the case. You need to know your own body. And that is my disclaimer here. You have to know your own body. Don't ever take what someone else or myself says, this is what I do, and take that at full throttle for yourself. You need to know your living circumstances, your wound circumstances. You need to know your past history and where you're going and what has happened in the past for you with something similar. But here's where the problem comes, and that's the motivating to get back at it. Like anything, good habits, when you've run their course and you kind of plateau and you get bored of something, or you get tired of something, or your body rejects something, or your mind rejects something, you kind of step back. And if you're anything like me, there are times where I've stepped back, and then every day I'm like, I promised myself, you know what, tomorrow I'll get back to it. Well, tomorrow I'll get back to it. Today was busy. I had a lot of other things going on. Tomorrow I'll get back to it. And that isn't gonna be helpful. And we all, I will tell you, there isn't a person that doesn't go through that. We all ebb and flow with our routines, our positive habits, things like that. So when I ask you, how do you stay motivated? And someone might ask me, how do you stay motivated? I need to shake things up. That's me. And I will, sorry, my dog is burying herself in the bed right here next to me. Usually she's sound asleep, but she's moving. I stay motivated by new challenges. And I will tell you that the very first thing is, as an amputee, I had to learn the mechanics of walking with this leg on me. So that was PT. And when I was in PT, I was the kind of person that would leave with my leg on, and I'd come with my leg on. I would never take it off unless they needed to fix something on it. And I would wear it the rest of the day because, again, I didn't have wound issues and things had healed fine and I could tolerate it. And because I learned the right mechanics. I wasn't bruising my femur anymore, which was what was happening when I first got my leg. I didn't have the mechanics down and I was bruising it. But once I got all that down, I knew that the most important thing to learning something new was to keep pushing forward with it, keep at it. And for me, knowing that it was going to be really hard and really tiring and painful, I started doing virtual races. Number one, I'm very competitive. So a race, perfect. Two, virtual, I can do it in my neighborhood on my time. So if it's hot, like right now, and we're in the hundreds here in Arizona, I did virtual races during the summer, but I would make sure I would go like first thing in the morning or in the evening with a flashlight. And then you can pick your length. Most of them are 5K, 10K, half marathon. You can even do marathon virtual races. And I loved the medals. I liked the carrot, the pretty dangly carrot in front of me. So I would pick virtual races that meant something to me based on what they were themed or what the medal looked like. And now I have, and that was the one way I knew that, okay, if I'm going to do 127 miles in 3 months, I got to get going. And I would take, how many days is that in the 3 months? Divide that up. How many miles must I do every day to complete this? And then there were good days and bad days. And that meant that I had to either extend my 3 months, which was fine because it was on my time, or I would have to, on a good day, keep going past. If it was 2 miles a day, I'd have to keep going to make up for the 2 I missed. So I learned how to budget my time and budget my pain levels. And in the end, even though they might send me the medal before I even finished a race on my time, I wouldn't open it until I had earned it. And that takes a lot of discipline because you really want to see it. But what happened was I really wanted to see it so badly that when it would come, I'd be like, okay, I haven't done my 3.2. I need to get out and do it now. And I would, after dinner, take off and I'd get moving. But having something like that allowed me to get in my leg every day with the sole purpose of putting steps into the leg. And as I was stepping and out walking 3.2 miles, usually most of the time 3.2 miles, I would focus on my mechanics of my walk. I watch my foot, how it would come through and how my hip would be used. And I'd make sure I wasn't waddling back and forth to compensate. And even in the evenings, if you really want a great thing, because you don't have mirrors anywhere, I'd walk in the evenings and watch how the street lights portrayed me on the ground. And then I would shift up. When I would get tired, I could see myself, I call it the penguin walk, because I would waddle because it was just easier than pushing my leg through and staying upright. But the shadow doesn't lie. And so there were times where I'd get lazy and I'd look down and go, oh, come on. And I'd work on it and I'd watch my shadow walk with me through the streets at night. So I keep doing those kind of challenges. I think to date, I have about 17 or 18 virtual medals that I did, and I haven't really done any lately. I would say I did that in the first 4 years of being an amputee. And I just love them. And they hang, they're in my closet right here, but every time I go in there, that's my source of motivation. Like, look what you did as a one-legger. I have none of those medals from before I was an amputee. Those were all earned after amputation. So that makes me feel proud of myself, and it tells me, listen, you did this when it was hardest. You definitely can achieve stuff now. So I like to have that as my motivation. I like something that I can really tangibly see and force myself to do. And that really did help me learn to walk right away. I had a really interesting question yesterday at the grocery store. I had a gentleman stop me and asked if I served. No, I did not serve. Karate accident. And then he talked about a man that he knew, a friend of his, that served and lost his leg while serving. And he said he's just sitting around waiting to die. And that just made me really, really sad. And then he said, I'm proud of you for being out here doing what you're doing. And I'm like thinking, well, that's great. I'm like, I'm so glad that you're proud of me, but I don't think anything of it now. Like, this is just normal. I have to get moving. I have to grocery shop. I'm the housewife. I must get shopping done. I must clean up the house. I must. There's no getting around it. But what he asked me, which was a really tricky question, was, how long before you were walking? And I'm like, well, I walked the day I got my leg. I walked out of the prosthetist office. But I could tell you right now that I am still constantly working on my gait and improving it, and finding myself get lazy on hard days after maybe a workout in the gym, or gosh, when I go to the horses and I'm walking over uneven terrain and jeans and boots are heavier than shorts and gym shoes. So that's a tricky question. I started walking right away. It was 3 months after my surgery because I had to heal. They didn't want to put anything on it. So as soon as I got my leg, I was walking. I also said I didn't take it off. I didn't allow myself the nicety to take it off and go, that feels so much better now that it's off. I didn't want to remember what it felt like to be off. I wanted that to become normal. And so if you really, really want to embrace being an amputee, you've got to go with what you need to do, no matter what it takes, to keep your leg on and practice, practice, practice. I am 5.5 years of an amputee. So let's say just over 5 years of wearing a prosthetic, and I still find myself taking the lazy route and getting tired, and it ebbs and flows, right? When I'm in full-on workout mode, I'm stronger and I'm healthier and I'm feeling like I'm kicking butt. And then when the holidays come and I'm just busy, 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 and I haven't gotten to the gym, my muscles start to slow down a little bit, and I realize I'm dragging my leg behind me, or swinging it out more, or penguin walking. But if you really, really want to learn to walk, you must force the situation. And I've told people this. If it starts to hurt you, instead of taking it off to see if that'll relieve it, why don't you sit? It's okay to leave it on and get used to it being a part of you. Like, I don't think of this as a prosthetic. It is my leg. When I see it and my foot tingles, I feel my foot down here at the bottom, right where my foot would be. I feel tingling in the arch of my foot right now. I feel it in my heel, and my toes are tingling. And I actually felt just a little bit right now in my calf. So it may not be there, but my body doesn't know any different, because this is on from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. This is who I am. This is my leg. This is all I have, and I will embrace it. That also helps in adjusting to wearing it. If you're wearing it more, then you can use it more. And when you're using it more, you can go and do your normal things like housework and going to your job and being you with 2 legs, versus trying to hold a walker and crutches and your phone and a purse and whatever you're carrying, because those devices are great to help you when you don't have your leg on, but they impede using hands. So I like the freedom of having 2 legs and 2 arms, and that is what's worked for me. Now it came to the running aspect, still not good at that, still very shy about using my running blade because it's a little scary. I don't like to fall, and at my age I can't break a wrist falling, because I need my crutches in the evening when I get up in the middle of the night. And I need my wrist to pull my leg on, because I am a skin fit. I have to do a lot more full-on pulling that take upper body strength, and my wrists and my fingers grabbing hard a bag to pull my leg in. So these babies need to stay healthy. So running isn't really my forte, but I did the exact same thing, because I did sign up for a 10K 1 year after my amputation here in Phoenix Rock and Roll Marathon with a friend of mine, and I wanted to get used to it. So I thought, well, how did you get used to your walking leg? You did virtual challenges. And then, so I signed up for, huge ones like 150 miles in 2 months or whatever. And you have a group, so accountability is a really big thing. I announced to the group, and I said, hey, I'm joining. I am an amputee. This challenge, for those of you that know me, I am going to do this only counting the miles I do in my running blade. Now, that did not mean running on it, but using it as a tool to get from point A to point B, which right then and there just It's one, it's so much lighter, and two, it is an open hinge swing. I didn't lock it because I didn't want to get used to swinging my leg out to get my toe around. So I unhinged it and I would just flop. So you have to really kick out so you hit your toe at the bottom versus the tip and crumple over. So I have several of those medals that I earned only by using a running blade. And that is how I got used to it for the 10K. And I did the 10K in my running blade. I ran a little, walked, ran a little, walked, mostly walking, because I was also only 1 year in. That I think 4 times in that 10K, I had to stop, pull my leg off, and add a sock, a thicker ply, because I was shrinking as the 10K was happening 4 times. So there's me sitting on the side of the road, pull my leg off, add a sock, put my leg back on, get it comfortable, and start over again and keep going and keep going. So it's just about practice, practice, practice. And like I have been told, practice doesn't make perfection, practice makes permanence. And that's really key to this, because if you're going to get in your walking leg and you're only going to do it once in a while, you're not going to have that muscle memory that you get. Like if you're an athlete, you know what I'm talking about. If you've done any sports, if you do basketball, you learn to shoot free throws and you know the exact amount of push and follow through and arch and jump and all that. And when you do that 50 to 100 times a day, your body starts to remember the feel, right? I get that when I ski. I know my leg understands the muscle memory that it takes to snap my ski in, balance, and get out and shush down the mountain. So practice makes permanence. It permanently sears in your head the muscle it takes and the movement it takes to do what you need to do and do it well. But that's why I also said 5 years in, I still catch myself being lazy and having to focus on my hips and tightening up my abs and core strength, pushing through. So when it comes to motivating and staying forward, like I said, it's about challenging yourself and knowing your limits. And, take everything I say with a grain of salt. This is the stuff that works for me in my situation, in my age, and my type of amputation. This is how I live. I'm a type A personality. I'm constantly pushing the envelope to see where my body can take me. I feel like a science experiment, to be honest, because I want to see what this leg can do for me. And there are times when I've tried to do certain things and couldn't figure it out until I got to the position and realized the physics of it didn't seem to connect for me. And so I'd have to rethink how I would approach, for example, riding a bike. Seems simple enough. I got a leg, I can do that. I got the right shoes, but trying to get my leg over up a high bike and trying to get it in bike mode and all this, there's a lot to it. So when you need to get yourself up and moving, and if you're an amputee, first thing I would tell you is at the very beginning, give yourself some grace, because it is a very hard start to a new life and a new journey. When you amputate, you first have to adjust to the mental and emotional aspects of being totally different and not having the thing that you were born with. That is really hard. And they say it's like the grieving process, that we go through a grieving process, that we lost a friend. We lost a part of us that we've always seen and known. So you need to go through that part first. You need to grieve. You need to grasp it. But you don't want to sit there too long, because just sitting around trying to grasp that mental aspect isn't going to help you. What is going to help you is finding things that can teach your mind you're going to be okay. And so once you figure that out, then the sky's the limit. You can try anything you want within reason and safety. Give it a go. You just don't know. So this week for call to action, I forgot last week I didn't even do a call to action. I feel so bad. But this week, call to action, wherever you're at in your amputee journey, I want you to put a challenge in front of yourself this next week. Pick something random, find something online, look up the virtual races. Those are really good. If you are struggling to get used to walking in your leg, try a virtual race. Like I said, the freedom to pick the theme you want and the cool design of the medals, and they're really cool medals. I have to say, I totally geeked out on getting those. Check them out. See if you can find one that's just a simple 5K. You don't have to do. When I first started doing them, a 5K meant get 3.2 miles in before you earn that medal. Then it came to, all right, you're going to do 3.2 miles today solid. You're not going to stop. You're going to go out and back. It's going to be 3.2 at least. Then I started doing those 150, 175 milers. I have 3 of those that I did. I think it was the spring, the summer, and the fall of getting my prosthetic. And I just jumped right in because I don't know small. I go big all the time. Because I don't know if I like the pain or I just like huge challenges. But the more undaunting it seems to me, the bigger the payout if I can accomplish it. And if I don't feel bad. I just go try it again. Let's do it again. So your challenge this week, your call to action is to find something that challenges you depending on what you want your outcome to be. For most of you, it might be just getting active again. And for others, it might be learning to walk better. I will tell you, doing a virtual race will help you walk better. It just forces the situation for it to be on and you to get used to it. And sometimes having to push through that barrier after some people hit a wall, especially new amputees. My first wall was getting to the end of the block. And I thought, oh my God, 2 miles is going to be a lot bigger than I thought. And so I had to work my way up to making that 2 mile each time I went walking. So it doesn't just happen. Just so you know, the first time I did, I think I jumped right into a 150 miler. The first time I thought I was going to just get out and I think it was 1.5 to 2 miles. I was in so much pain and exhausted by the mailbox that I turned back around and said, all right, let's count that. That was 0.25 miles. All right. And it took me a good couple weeks to get to a mile. But it was persistence paying off over time. So just remember that. When you challenge yourself, it is a challenge for a reason. If it was easy, then everybody would do it. So if you want to know how to make the difference in your life as an amputee and push past thresholds that you're going through and plateaus, that's how you do it. Motivate yourself with challenges and keep it fresh, keep it real, keep moving forward, keep looking for the next thing that's in front of you. And don't worry about what happened in the past. Don't dwell on the loss of the leg. Don't dwell on the accident or anything. You need to be able to let go of that to healthfully move forward in a positive light. So I hope this helped. It was awesome talking with you. Get yourself out there, challenge yourself today, stay motivated. I know you can do it because you are a warrior. So until next time, and as always, be healthy, be happy, be you.